Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Shalom, I'm David Mencer, Israeli government spokesman. A quick update from me and then over to your questions, which you should put in the chat, all of which we'll take at the end of this briefing. It's Thursday, the 8th of August, day 307 of the October 7th War. For clarity, here are Israel's war aims. Again, the return of all of our hostages, dismantling of Hamas's governmental and military capabilities, and removing the terrorist threat to Israel. We cannot repeat this war against Hamas again. The pre-October 7th reality will not repeat itself. First to the progress of this war, the Prime Minister made comments in the last 24 hours and he reiterated that Israel is continuing forward to victory. He acknowledged the security tensions with regards to Iran and its proxies, but also the determination of the Israeli society. The Prime Minister urged Israelis to be patient and level-headed. Israel is prepared both defensively and offensively. We are striking our enemies and are determined to defend ourselves. There is currently no change to the defense instructions by the Home Front Command. Israelis are encouraged to remain informed and follow any new guidance as instructed. Now to Lebanon. We often talk about Iran, who are the controller of all these proxies which are fighting against us on 7 fronts. But we rarely speak about Lebanon itself. So, to our neighbors in Lebanon, Hezbollah have fired 7,500 rockets at us from your country. 1,000 have landed in Lebanon. We have no territorial dispute with you, Lebanon. But as a result of Hezbollah's aggression, 43 of our people have been killed. 24 civilians, including an Indian national, and 19 members of the security services. 271 of our people have been wounded, 130 civilians and 141 members of our security services. Your country, Lebanon, has been taken hostage by Hezbollah, a terrorist organization which has wreaked destruction, terror and instability across your country of Lebanon. Hezbollah is not only a threat to us here in Israel, but it's also a threat to the safety and security of the people of Lebanon. Now would be a good time to speak up and eject these terrorists. Because of Hezbollah terrorists which operate under the guidance of Iran, ultimately Lebanon is responsible for the escalation of the security situation in our north in violation of UN Security Council resolutions 1559 and 1701. Now an update from COGAT and their work coordinating aid into Gaza. In the last day, 7 ambulances were inspected and transferred to Gaza. A rotation coordination of humanitarian personnel has been successfully completed. 8 tankers of fuel and 6 tankers of cooking gas for vital humanitarian infrastructure entered Gaza. 271 trucks of humanitarian goods were transferred to Gaza via Kerem Shalom, 223 trucks, and via Erez, 48 trucks. 155 trucks were collected from the Gazan side of Kerem Shalom. 124 trucks were collected by the private sector, which is the majority, and only 31 trucks were collected by UN aid agencies. About 640 trucks worth of aid remain uncollected, are awaiting collection from the Gazan side of Kerem Shalom. Just remember that. There's 640 trucks worth of aid are awaiting collection, just languishing in the sun. We will continue expanding our efforts to facilitate humanitarian aid into Gaza. Since the beginning of this war, 45,000 trucks have delivered 870,000 tons. 870,000 tons of humanitarian aid that have entered Gaza. That's 80% more food compared to prior to October the 7th. So that's the end of our briefing today. We'll now take your questions, which you should put in the chat together with your news outlet. Okay, first question here from Celia Vasdal from TV2 Norway. Celia asks, Israel today announced you're revoking the diplomatic status of 8 Norwegians who work directly with the Palestinian authorities. Why is this? And then you ask, Norway's Foreign Minister Espen Barth Eide has replied that this is an extreme act that will get consequences. How does Israel view the diplomatic relationship with Norway now? And also you ask, Norway has also called in the Israeli embassy in Oslo for an explanation. What can they expect to hear? Will someone show up? Okay, so thank you for that question, Celia. Look, today, Israel's Foreign Minister, Israel Katz, rightly ordered the revocation of diplomatic status for 8 Norwegian diplomats here in Israel who were dealing with the Palestinian Authority. Instead of fighting Palestinian terrorism after the October 7th massacre, instead of supporting Israel in its war against the Iranian axis of evil, the terrorism which this country has faced as a fellow democracy, Norway didn't take that role. Norway chose to reward the terrorist organization of Hamas. It chose to reward the genocidal murderers of Hamas and their rapists by recognizing a Palestinian state. Let's be completely clear about this point. They chose to reward the terrorists by recognizing a Palestinian state. What message do you think that gives to the genuine peacemakers in this region? What message do you think it sends to those that strive for harmony between our two peoples? The message it very clearly sends is that terrorist atrocities, murders, rapes, and massacres will get you what you want. But Norway didn't stop there. They also joined the baseless lawsuit against Israel in the International Criminal Court seeking the arrest warrants for our Prime Minister and the Defence Minister. So Norway has pursued a one-sided policy on the Palestinian issue and will therefore be excluded from any involvement in this area. Let's be clear about this, and this is a message to Norway's people rather than Norway's government. We should be very clear that those who attack us and pursue a one-sided policy against us cannot expect business as usual with the people and the government of Israel. Okay. You've asked, next question from Celia Vasdal at TV2 Norway. What is your reaction to Barth Eide's response? Thank you. I think I've given a comprehensive answer to that question just a second ago. And you also ask, will Spain and Ireland face the same consequences? Thank you for that question, Celia. We'll be dealing with that issue as it comes up. Next, okay, let's go. Next question here is from Joel Pollack at Breitbart News. And Joel asks, Vice President Kamala Harris said yesterday that she was open to discussing an arms embargo on Israel in exchange for uncommitted votes in Michigan. Since then, her campaign released a statement and the statement is, since October 7th, the Vice President has prioritized engaging with Arab, Muslim and Palestinian community members and others regarding the war in Gaza. In this brief engagement, she reaffirmed that her campaign will continue to engage with those communities. This is still part of your question, Joel. The Vice President has been clear she will always work to ensure Israel is able to defend itself against Iran and Iran-backed terrorist groups. Continuation of your question, Joel. The Vice President is focused on securing the ceasefire and hostage deal currently on the table. As she has said, it is time for this war to end in a way where Israel is secure, hostages are released, and the suffering of the Palestinian civilians ends, and the Palestinian people can realize their right to dignity, freedom, and self-determination. Could you respond? Okay, thank you very much for that question, Joel. So, look, the US is currently undergoing a presidential election. Israel and the government of Israel will not intervene in that election. It's up to the American people. It's their sovereign right to decide who their leaders are, and it's not right for any foreign country to get involved in the internal affairs of another country, especially during this election season. We always make clear that the relationship between Israel and the US is a bipartisan relationship. It has been for decades and decades. We stand shoulder to shoulder with the US. We have done for many, many years, and no less during this period, this war which has been waged against us by this Iranian proxies with Hezbollah and Hamas and the Houthis and others attacking us. So we're not going to get involved in internal American politics. We can, of course, say that all parties in the US recognize that we have many, many shared values in this country with the US administration, no matter which party they're from. Many, many shared values. We're the only democracy hundreds of miles in any direction. Of course, we share the same enemy. It's Iran. Iran are not only an enemy of ours, but they only see us as a stopgap on the way to the US. I think whoever wins the election does understand that currently, and will even more understand it when they assume office. So, of course, we're not getting involved in any of those discussions. You did mention, though, the deal. I think that was mentioned as part of your question. So, with your permission, let me speak about the current situation regarding the latest information we have as released by us here at the Prime Minister's office last night. Look, Israel has already given a clear offer on this deal, Joel particularly. Israel has sent the negotiating delegation to Cairo already last Saturday. We've lived up to our commitments. Up to this moment, no response has been received from Hamas. Okay? So I'll make that clear again. No response has been received from Hamas. This hostage deal, this hostage release deal, is an outline that Israel is promoting. It's been supported by President Biden. It will enable the return of our hostages, which is a key war aim. 115 people, men, women, and children, including 5-year-old Ariel Bibas, who celebrated his birthday, this 5th birthday this week, including Kfir Bibas, his younger brother, who spent the majority of his life as a hostage in Hamas captivity. So we need to get these hostages out, but without it obstructing the other goals of the war. As we've said all along, it's Hamas that continues to set additional terms and refuses to reach an agreement. Okay, next question is, can you just scroll up for a second? Just scroll up. Just want to make sure I haven't missed anything. Okay, keep going down. Okay, right, keep going. Yeah, okay. Next question is from Jim Williams at Zenka International News, Washington, D.C. Yesterday I spoke here in the US with representatives from Meir Panim, the Jewish Federation, and other Israeli aid organizations. There was a shared concern for assisting displaced Israelis and helping the IDF to ensure funds are directed appropriately to aid the people of Israel. Does the Prime Minister's office have suggestions on how US Jews can support their brethren in Israel during this time of war? Thank you very much for that question, Jim. So, look, regarding supporting Israel during this time of war, we have been felt the warmth of support from across many Jewish people in the US, but across the country as well, from across the political divide, and through so many of people in the USA, of which we've been very grateful. You mentioned an extremely important cause there, Meir Panim, that feeds Israel's hungry and needy, including Holocaust survivors, irrespective of their religion as well. It's very important to make sure that we reiterate that Mel Panim does really phenomenal work in feeding those, in providing soup kitchens and providing anonymous gift cards to allow Israel's needy to go shopping without any embarrassment, being able to go shopping in supermarkets with an anonymous card which they can use as a credit card. So we know that Mel Panim do really fantastic work. Now you're asking me for other suggestions, and you're asking me if the Prime Minister's office has suggestions on how US Jews can support their brethren in Israel during this time of war. So that's an excellent question, Jim, but if you would allow me, perhaps I can reply to you in the group with a more comprehensive answer to that question with our suggestions. Next question is from Jody Cohen of World is One News in India. Israel has said it's prepared for different scenarios. Does one of those scenarios involve a preemptive strike, which appears to be what Itamar Ben-Gvir referred to in his tweet today when he said Eshkol did not wait? Thank you for that question, Jody. That's let me deal with it this way. Look, the Iranian axis of evil and Iran has formed a stranglehold against this country. It's a ring of armed terror armies, Hezbollah in Lebanon, Hamas in Gaza, the Houthis in Yemen, and of course other militias as well. We should be absolutely clear that Israel will exact a heavy price for aggression from against these Iranian proxies from any arena. Israel's long arm will reach anyone who causes harm to our civilians, and the elimination of the commanders of the military wings of both Hamas and Hezbollah, as we have done, sends an extremely clear message. It couldn't be clearer to anyone that threatens Israel. Now, we've made clear that whether it's defensively or offensively, this country will be defended. Now, of course, you wouldn't expect me to share our military plans from this podium, but needless to say, this country will defend itself, and if necessary, there will be offensive action as well. Our duty, the government of Israel's duty, its first and overriding duty, together with all other responsible governments, is the defense of our people. That is our primary purpose. The primary purpose of any government is to protect its people, to provide security for its people. So whether it's defensively or offensively, as the Prime Minister has made clear, we take that responsibility extremely seriously, and our enemies would do well to heed that. Now, when it comes to our allies, the United States and other allies as well are standing with Israel. We are not alone, because the international community and our allies understand that Iran must be curbed because of their dangerous ambition, which they state it's their intention to destroy the state of Israel, and they threaten both regional stability and the free world. Our allies understand that. We here, of course, understand that. We are grateful to our allies, and that's the way I'll answer that question. Next question here from Sharon A. from the Baltimore Jewish Life, Sharon Altschul. Yesterday, the Knesset Constitution, Law and Justice Committees, led by Simcha Rotman, convened a 4.5-hour hearing on the imposition of sanctions initiated by the US. Reports were the Prime Minister was following up today. Is there any update? Thank you for that question, Sharon. I haven't got any update on that issue. Next question from Hannah Julian from the Jewish Press. Rashida Tlaib, an anti-Israel lawmaker in the United States, has retweeted a post by Noura Erakat quoting an alleged poll by Israel's Channel 12 News, claiming 47% of Israelis agree that IDF soldiers are allowed to, I'm not going to read that out. Do you have any response to Congress member Rashida Tlaib about retweeting such a claim? Thank you for that question, Hannah. This country operates under the rule of law. It's very, very important to us. It's different to almost all of the nations which surround us. We take the army and our people, it's a people's army, take our responsibilities extremely seriously. The primary role which the army has carried out with tremendous professionalism has been to defend this country. It has done that remarkably. I'll remind you that for months there's not been a week in which the world has told us, both at home but also abroad, to end this war, because so the world tells us we've exhausted what can be achieved, and it's impossible to win, so they tell us in any case. The Prime Minister has made this clear. We do not subscribe to this point of view, this impossible to win idea. We do not subscribe to this point of view. Now, if we gave in here in Israel to this pressure, we would not have eliminated senior Hamas leaders and thousands of terrorists. We would not have destroyed the terrorist infrastructure and the extensive Hamas underground infrastructure. They simply would have kept it. Hamas would have regrouped and would have kept it. And we would have had another repeat of this conflict in another 18 months' time, as we have had in the past. We'd not be in control now of the Philadelphia corridor and Rafah and the Rafah crossing, which has been a lifeline for the terrorists of Hamas. Almost the entire world told the Israeli government, do not go into Rafah. It'll take months and months and months to move ordinary Gazans out of harm's way. It'll be a quagmire. You'll get bogged down. It will never work. They were all proved wrong. Again and again and again, the world has told us, don't do the things which we have done. Don't go into Gaza. You can't win against Hamas. This terror tunnel network, you'll never be able to win. We've had all these experts around the world telling us all these things. They have all proved to be false. People predicted huge numbers of fallen soldiers. It is true that we have lost a terrible number of soldiers since October the 7th. 689 of our soldiers have fallen. Each one is a catastrophe. Each one is an individual story. Each one has paid the ultimate sacrifice. But because we've taken the battle to Hamas and we've stopped them rearming themselves, rebuilding themselves, we have created the conditions that are bringing us closer to this potential hostage deal that will also return our hostages and will also allow us to achieve all of our objectives for this war. Of all of the achievements that we've achieved in recent months, we've achieved because we did not give in, because we made courageous decisions despite the great pressure here at home and abroad. So this we tell you, people can malign, as Tlaib has done, malign the soldiers of our country. We know that we are the most moral army in the world. Colonel John Spencer of West Point has made this clear. He's the head of urban warfare, the world expert on urban warfare. He knows that we have gotten civilians out of harm's way, and we've ensured the lowest number of civilian casualties for this type of conflict. We tell you that this was not easy. We needed to reject a great amount of pressure, and the Prime Minister said this very, very clearly. But above all, and this is going back to the point which you make in this, which you're raising with us, above all, we achieved this because our fighters, our men and women in our armed forces, both the reservists and the conscripts in the IDF, and in the police, and in all of our security services, including the Mossad. We did not give in. We did not give in. We held to the highest levels of morality, no matter how much the world has maligned us, as they do in your question. We believe our soldiers fight like lions. They are determined to win, and together with the people of Israel, with the great love and the great faith in the justice of our cause, we will be successful, and we are being successful. Okay, any more questions? Okay, Hannah's asked, can we get a transcript of the daily briefing in addition to the video? We can certainly send you the video, and we can, Hannah, we can discuss which comments you're looking for particularly. Okay, so that's the end of our briefing here today. The next briefing is scheduled for Monday. In the meantime, we are available for interview or for any requests, and you know how to contact us in the usual way. So I would say to you, thank you for joining us. Please do stay safe, and look forward to seeing you next time.